Good evening.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, please thumbs up as you enter. It helps out.
Tucson.
Hey, Adnan.
And
Just got my first SSAE. It's awesome.
I just ordered a couple of those today, actually. I have a rifle that's not functioning properly. I'm getting light strikes, and we need to get a proper trigger for it. Get that
Told him
problem to
that
go
he
away.
should make a video about it, but yeah, he doesn't want to.
I am going to be doing it.
Oh, you are doing it. You changed your mind?
Yeah, I fixed it.
So you're going to talk about it?
Yeah.
We had a nice long walk a couple nights ago. And there's a lot more to the story, but I'm not going to say it. And he didn't want to make a video about it. But I told him he should. Thank you. So you subscribed to the Patreon to watch JFK videos, and it was worth it. Well, I'm glad that you found that it was worth it. We really appreciate all of you guys that are new Patreon members to come on board for that. Patreon had dropped about 40%, and I know everybody's struggling in these times. 2021 financially seems like it's been a lot harder than 2020, and the cost of everything is going up, and then the price is going up, and the funds coming in are going down. So it's the reverse that you want to happen. And I looked at the first JFK video just to give you guys a rundown. The ad revenue on the first JFK, I haven't told Chris this. My job is analytics, as far as everything that goes with the business is my job. And so I look at analytics in a very deep way that he doesn't. And that like JFK #1 has made $6 in YouTube revenue. So, and it's because it has assassination in the title. So it's automatically deemed not fit for.
Wow, don't even have a gun in my hands. That's still.
Yeah. So it's rough. You put out this kind of content, you invest in the materials to do it. And, we're definitely feeling it over here at SAS. So if you guys are in the situation where you can donate, I'd appreciate you guys using our link on DonorBox for it's on smallarmsolutions.com. I also can take PayPal payments. If you're interested in that, you can email me privately for that. I haven't got around to watching The King. I started to put it on, and then he wanted to watch Sopranos because when the Kings of, what's it called? The Staten Island, was the Kings of the new one.
Oh, the Many Saints of Newark.
Yes, the Many Saints of Newark. Once that came out, he wanted to go back and watch all the old Sopranos. And, we hadn't seen the last season since probably right after it aired. And that last episode, man, it gets you when it cuts out. I still remember when we watched it and I thought the cable had went out. It was like... Okay, are you done with calling out where people are at so I can get going? Okay, guys, here we go. If you have a question, you can pop it into the chat line. We don't just take paid questions, of course, but we definitely need, donations. But we just appreciate you guys being here. Our preferred method is DonorBox. You can find that link on smallarmsolutions.com. I'll also pop it into the chat line to make it easy. You put your question into the comment section, or just if you want to donate during the chat tonight. DonorBox only takes 3%. If you do use the super chat function, which is totally fine, Google does take 30%, which is quite a lot. So we, make the dollars mean more. We always prefer DonorBox, but thanks for joining us, and here we go. Kirk doesn't have a question, but he just wanted to send a donation, and he loved the JFK series.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, the JFK series, again, you saw a different part of my profession. As I said,
let's get into these first questions, and then we'll dive into that later. Michael on DonorBox. Thank you, Michael. Wondering why my Lwrc Reaper barrel cannot be replaced anywhere else except at their facility in Maryland.
That's a proprietary.
He also liked the JFK series.
That's a proprietary barrel system. Some companies have that, and you also may need special tools. And if I do recall, with Lwrc, because I wrote the manual for the Reaper, if I do recall, that was a specialized tool that they had as well. when you have small companies like that, there's a lot of aftermarket companies that make tools. So if LWRC doesn't offer that tool for sale, they're just not going to make it. For instance, Colt with their one-piece upper receiver or their 6940 series, Colt never offered an armorer's tool for that. There was a couple of aftermarket companies, but there's a lot of those guns out there. So that happens.
Thank you, Steve. On DonorBox, he left a donation. He doesn't have a question yet, and I don't see a question yet posted, but I'll keep looking in case you have one tonight. TS on DonorBox, thank you. He said, love the content. What is your favorite Ambi AR bolt catch? I love the Dimple catch, not because it's the best, but because of how simple and cheap manufacturing cost-wise of an upgrade it is.
It is that one. And believe it or not, that's not made by Dimple. That is that bolt catch was licensed from Norgon. So they licensed from Norgon, and Dimple made those for the C7A2 midlife upgrade. But I would definitely have to say, without a doubt, that one, the forward control design, that's also a very nice one too.
Yes, I'm sorry if you can hear the dishes in the background. Unfortunately, we also live here, and we have 4 children. So dinner is finished, and thank God we have some kids that are doing some chores. Adnan on DonorBox, thank you so much, Adnan. In regards to the plethora of PCCs, pistol carbine, caliber carbines that are on the market, they typically utilize some of the readily available aftermarket magazines, such as Glock mags, and most recently the SIG P320 pistol mags. Since the adoption of the Beretta M9 92 series of pistols in the 80s, has any company thought about incorporating the Beretta 92 magazines into a PCC, or even other companies using the Colt 1911 magazines as another alternative?
Well, if I recall, Quarter Circle 10 had a Lwrc receiver that took Beretta magazines. Yeah, I don't know. That's really an interesting question. Why they're more haven't done Beretta magazines? The P320 they've definitely jumped on. And hell, behind me I've got a Palisade Armory PCC that I'm going to be evaluating soon that takes CZ Scorpion magazines. I'm also surprised to see more haven't taken the MPX magazine. Or, I'm sorry, the MCX magazine. But that's interesting. But the only company I'm pretty sure that made one was Quarter Circle 10.
Pat, the slow-mo is on because it helps navigate trolls that come into the chats. That's why it's also on subscriber-only mode. It's not to force you to subscribe to be a part of the chat. It's just that it lessens the ability of just random people coming in. And slow-mo chat, you'll still have people that are dedicated enough to subscribe for 5 minutes, wait 5 minutes, and then they spam the chat really, disgusting things over and over and over again. And when I'm up in the top trying to pull questions, it just makes it harder to get them thrown out quicker. So it's not anything against you guys. It's just to mitigate other people coming in that shouldn't be here. You don't want to see "I love Biden" 8,000 times spammed in the chat. So just think about that. That's there for your benefit, Pat. Logan on DonorBox. Thank you, Logan. Thoughts on Ruger's AR-15, specifically the MPR series?
Well, I haven't been able to get an MPR series yet. Unfortunately, my contact there disappeared about a year ago. I was hoping to get somebody at NRA so I could get some of those to review. I had reviewed some of the early their SR-15, or they call it. However, the first one I got was standard rifle. It was fine. The second one was the one with the removable barrel. That one didn't work. I sent it back, but they never sent me one to replace it. So unfortunately, I can't really give you any kind of a opinion on that because I haven't gotten my hands on one. I was hoping to, and hopefully at some point I'll be able to get somebody over there so I can do a review on one.
Dan on DonorBox, thank you, Dan. He has a slick slide upper from Fulton Armory and an FN barrel with M4 feed ramps, lots of FTF due to ramp tolerance stacking. I took the barrel off and dremeled the ramps down and fired 10 mags with no issues. Now, did I do this right? Any thoughts on this issue?
Is it a carbine or a rifle?
He said slick slide upper from Fulton Armory and an FN barrel, M4 feed ramps.
Well, first off, if
he dremeled the ramps down on the
if,
barrel.
If you're using a carbine lower receiver, get a heavier buffer, because sometimes what happens if that barrel is overgassed, it's operating so fast that the magazine stack spring can't keep up. By utilizing a heavier buffer, you slow down that stroke. That can help that magazine give more time to get it fed. The feed ramp should take care of that, but also if you use a heavier buffer, That's sort of like what Colt did with the M4, with with the M855 having to give more time for it to feed. They added the feed rams, and then of course then they added the heavier buffer. So I would go up one weight and buffer also. That would help that too.
There's somebody in the chat that Mindy says, I have a question. My grandfather left me a Colt 1911 he carried in World War II.
Oh wow!
It was built in 1942.
Oh wow!
He carried it in the European theater. My question: what
That
is
is
the best way to store it? Well, a couple of people are saying it should be safe in my safe at home. So that's yeah.
I would find somebody who knows how to disassemble it, have them clean it, and make sure that you get a good preservative like G96 on it to prevent it from rusting. You have one hell of a family heirloom there.
Luke says that our fire alarm is dying like mine. We still can't figure out where it's coming from. We've replaced all the batteries and all the fire alarms, and just randomly it'll go off too. I think it's trying to like screw with me right now. And knew it was Q&A time. Kaylin on DonorBox says, I've been enjoying the JFK series. Appreciate the channel and the work both of you put into it.
Thank you.
It is a 5-part series. Now that we're caught up on questions, it's a 5-part series. The final part will be out on Saturday.
And that's very, very much just me summing up my thoughts.
So if you want to go into what you wanted to say earlier.
No, it's just me summing up my thoughts to part 5. Like I said, I have a lot of experiences that probably many of you don't know about in this field, and forensics is one of them. So this is basically another part of my profession that you're able to see really for the first time. I hope you guys did enjoy it. And all I can tell you is that's what happened, whether people want to believe it or not. Each point was shown scientifically. It's not your conspiracy is specifically in who Oswald worked for. It's not what happened that day. Now, as you can see from some of the comments, there, I mean, people come up with stuff that's out of totally left field. There's another shooting perch and all this kind of stuff. It's just asinine. It's really unbelievable what people come up with. But again, those are the people who have no forensic, they don't know anything about forensics or ballistics. They know nothing about forensic pathology. They don't even understand what they're seeing. The same thing with the people that say, well, his head went back, so he had to be shot from the front. These are people who have no idea about anatomy and what happens when bullets hit bodies. That's what's very important to realize. But I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. I tell you, it was one hell of an undertaking.
Yes.
On both of our parts.
I question why I even chose to push it so hard. I question why I was so, passionate about doing it. Several parts. I think it's been really hard for me to get back into filming anything else because it's been so. It was draining.
Yeah.
It was really draining. But I'll tell you, I couldn't have been more proud of the work that he put into it and how he presented it, because the crime series, I wanted to really get to people kind of like me, not people that, I'm not anti-gun, but I'm not a gun expert. And I know quite a bit from being his wife, but the technical side and the historical side, and I've learned a lot, but some people like something else.
Yeah.
And I love a documentary or a crime documentary. And I knew quite a bit about JFK, but I didn't know a quarter of the things that he talked about. And I've, met Monty, the firearms examiner he talks about and he replaced in Milwaukee, and sat at a table with him while he talked about working on the assassination. So I felt like I kind of had my, finger on the pulse of it.
Yeah.
But, listening to him, make these 5 parts, I learned so much, and the way he told the story was how I wanted it to come across. I wanted him to kind of break it down and take you through the journey, because he went on a journey too. He definitely was questioning evidence that he was like, wait a second, this is interesting.
I think many times she questioned what she asked for too, because it really got.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it really took
for
on
sure. It was exhausting.
Yeah.
Just learning the green screen too, and doing that for the first time and setting that up, but it worked. And it's great to have that going forward for presenting some different stuff. But the final part will be out on Saturday, so we hope you enjoy the wrap up. He gets a little bit more passionate in the final thoughts. He probably doesn't remember. I definitely remember.
No, I don't actually.
No, he definitely gets a little bit more passionate about you people who. I think he expected a lot of backlash.
I didn't get
he didn't
nearly
really get
as much
it.
as I thought.
And
Just a few.
So, he was like, if you really want to, come for me, then I have to ask you what your experience is
Yeah.
in forensics and cartridge cases and bullet trajectory and all these. And I mean, he's right at the end of the day, because I get why there's conspiracy and I get why people would think something of it. But, he explained it in a way that, I thought it was amazing. So be careful what you wish for, though.
Hmm.
I'll be careful what I press for him to do going forward. And thank you for all the people who have in the comment section said thank you. They just say
Yeah.
thank you, Heather, and I appreciate that because I know what you mean. I made him do it, and I wished at some point that I didn't make him do it, but it was good.
Mm.
It's good. It'll be wrapped up on Saturday, and then we'll be going into regular formatted stuff. Bryson wants to know, are you familiar with Foxtrot Mic Products' new FM15? If so, will you be doing a video on it?
Just today, I got the email from Roy over at Brown Nelson. He's sending me one. So stand by. I have one on the way.
Charles on Donorbox says, just because, keep up the good work. JFK videos are great. Hope BR3 becomes a reality.
It will.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing I nag him about. But then I'll also question that because he's going to be coming back, make me edit it and put it together. So that's going to be, yeah. You're going to have to buy me like a new handbag or something for that one. Tad on Donorbox. Thank you, Tad. He says, you probably don't remember, but a couple live streams ago, I sent you the question about carrying with winter gloves. Yeah, I remember that one. Solved my problem by taking my gloves to the store and walked out with a SIG M18 with TLR7 to go with it. Haven't shot it yet, but my friend in the active duty Marines just qualified on it this week and was singing its praises nonstop. What's a holster you can recommend that can fit the TLR7 light?
There are literally so many holsters that are out there. I tend to like a lot of the inside the pant holsters. They tend to work well for me. I always forget the one that I have over there. Of course, I can't bring a gun on here, so I don't want to piss off YouTube. I can't remember the name of it. It's a polymer holster that goes inside the pants. That's what I have my G45 in. Now my carry gun is a SIG P365 with a TLR7 on it, and I had a Recluse made me a custom pocket holster. That's what I carry. But I would definitely go with some kind of a soft, not some kind of a soft inside the pant holster. That's what's most comfortable. Um, some people, because of the P320 not having manual safety for the most part, they want to have the polymer holsters because it covers the trigger, whatever. But my preference is inside the pant.
Sean says not only do you have to take the battery out of the smoke alarm, but you also need to take the harness out of it, and that's why it keeps chirping, because it's attached to the electrical.
This one here, I pulled it out. I unplugged it from the wall. I pulled the batteries out.
But apparently the harness, the thing that's on the wall.
I have no idea. I have to look at it again.
See, this is what my life is like. This man, y'all literally think is the AR god, and he is. Unequivocally, undoubtedly, he is the AR god. He is a expert in a court of law, like legally, like not just some YouTuber.
I build up just to get knocked back down.
He can literally be on a stand and be qualified to speak at a trial on a homicide, like not just, he did some videos on YouTube and so that makes him smarter. He worked at a gun shop. No, he's literally certified, qualified in court of law. But
only 200. I've only testified over 200
times. The man
times.
can't paint a room. He can't hang curtains, and he can't fix this goddamn smoke alarm that keeps driving me insane. That randomly just starts going. Then it goes off, and then it comes back on. The smoke alarm has its own breaker. See, you were learning all. I need some of these guys to come over and help me. If it doesn't shoot a bullet, he has no idea what to do with it. Like, he literally just tells everybody, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I'm like, I fix everything around the house. He doesn't know how to do that stuff. Not unless it fires around. Any thoughts about KR using the forward assist? I think it's the first example I've ever seen where it was needed.
My guess is what happened when he got knocked down. The butt of that rifle hit the pavement. It came out of battery, and it wasn't, and it unlocked. And at that point is when he smacked it to go forward. You know what? all I can say is, there's always one time or whatever. But if you look at overall, I still don't care for it. Uh, Tim over at Military Arms Channel just did a video that came out today, and he talks about that. And I couldn't agree with him more. If there was a malfunction like that, I would have racked the charging handle and got rid of the run that was in there and let it go forward again. I wouldn't have used the forward assist. And most of the time, the forward assist, if you go to smack it, it doesn't catch on one of the ratchets anyways. So anything's possible. The stars align for him. So my guess is that the bolt just came unlocked when the stock smacked into the ground, and he was just able to tap it, and it went forward. If that was a real malfunction, it wouldn't have tapped that easy. If many of you, if you ever tried using it where something really got jammed up, you are whacking on that thing like crazy. If his just evidently just the bolt was unlocked and it just drove it forward. But like I said, does that make me change my mind? Absolutely not.
Luke, you're not, he says, for the last time, and I'll shut up. No, no, no. You just tell me. Send me an email at hbartachi@smallarmsolutions.com. He's telling me that smoke alarms have an expiration date. Luke, you're going to have to help a girl out because I'm going to have to figure this out. And I didn't even realize that it has an expiration date. So if I have to replace this thing, I didn't even know that.
These things look like they're from the
I
70s.
just ordered this house isn't that old.
It looks old.
I just replaced all the batteries in them. And yeah. Email me, Luke. Help me out here so I can fix the situation because he isn't going to fix it. I mean, they're all saying how amazing you are and how they respect you even more because guns are all you know. That and Cobra Kai. And also some of the solutions are just to shoot it, which trust me, I thought of it, especially at 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to sleep.
That's why God made suppressors.
Which is the best for a 16-inch duty military type rifle, mid-length AR-15 rifle, government SOCOM, or lightweight?
Well, the lightweight for very light use is fine. For a combat rifle, I would go with a SOCOM. That's what made the M4 into a true assault rifle, was switching barrels to the SOCOM barrel. Mid-length 16, I tell you, you're not going to beat Monty Leclerc over at Centurion Arms. His 16-inch cold hammer forged mid-length barrels. That literally is the way to go.
This is an interesting question, and I don't know that you've seen this interview. I may have lost it. Well, basically, I'll sum it up. Somebody asked, you would believe for a second that Alec Baldwin was not the one to pull the trigger.
Bullshit.
Did you know he did an interview?
Yes, I did. I saw that.
Did you see where I only saw the trailer for it, where he said that he did not put his finger on the trigger and he did not fire the gun.
It was a single action army. You have to pull the hammer all the way back before you pull the trigger. So he physically had to cock the hammer and pull the trigger. Guns do not go off by themselves. People claim Glock's done that for years. Every time they had an accidental discharge, it was the gun's fault. It went off by itself. They don't go off by themselves. Triggers have to be pulled. And he's typical Hollywood elitist who's going to get his way out of it because he's famous and he's got money. And this is a perfect example of an anti-gunner who does something stupid and isn't going to claim responsibility for it. I can get really worked up.
I know you can. That's why I was like, yeah. Well, and I don't know his political stance or anything.
Oh, he's
like
very
that.
anti-gun.
But see, I don't even care about that. I'm somebody who always reviews something based on the facts and the information that's given to me. And I know none of his political background. I only know it because you get so lit up and fired up. For me, I just thought this is a horrible tragedy, and the armor on set is definitely to blame.
No,
and
the person to blame is the one who has a gun in their hands. It's
that's like saying somebody who has a prop knife and to hit somebody with it turns out, oh, it's not a prop knife. It actually slices people.
No, this is very different.
This is where we have difference of opinions. But
firearm safety is firearm safety.
For me, I just thought it was a horrible tragedy. But listening to him say in that interview that his finger wasn't on the trigger, he never would have pointed a gun at anyone. That he also said that I never would point a gun at anyone, and I never shot it. Mm-hmm. That's when he lost me. That's when I was like, yeah, that's not good. I love this. I would also advise hiring someone other than Chris to trim your trees.
Oh, that hurt. Jesus.
I mean, facts. I won't let him get on a ladder at all.
You have no idea
Like
what I
our daughter
experienced.
loves Christmas and she wants lights in the house, and we're like, do we really want to put daddy on a ladder? I don't think so. Okay. Is the LE 6940 considered rare? And do you know the value of them currently?
They are going to be rare. I don't believe Colt is making them anymore. I don't believe Colt wants to make them anymore because of the issues with LMT, because they don't want to pay the royalties. Um, I think they may make them on a rare occasion, but they're doing everything they can to get away from them. So my guess is they're going to become really rare.
What
It's an awesome gun too.
do you think of Hodge Defense? Is it worth the money like a Noveski?
I cannot tell you how many emails and phone calls I've tried to put into them to try to get a rifle to look at. Unfortunately, I can't help you on that because I've never physically seen one, but I have tried very hard to get my hands on one from them, and I can't get a hold of anybody to talk to.
What are your thoughts on an M1 Garand versus an AR-15 for home defense?
No, M1 Garand, no. That's going to go through your house, the neighbor's house, that neighbor's house. It's so big trying to be able to maneuver it, and now if you're going to talk about an M1 carbine, that's a little bit different. Carbine wouldn't be too bad. Still, I would recommend a handgun for the most part. But the M1 carbine would not be a bad one. But the M1 Garand, forget it. That's a battle rifle that's got an extreme range.
Levi, you have to stop. He keeps scratching my leg. He wants to come up.
The Assault Terrier. Assault Terrier is very needy tonight.
Raven, please don't spam the chat. I pulled your question from the very top, and then I see that you posted it like 10 times. It's like, come on. Are gas rings on the AR-15 bolt hard to change out?
Oh no! Basically, all you're doing is you're going to take a little knife with a sharp tip, pry up on the corner, put the one corner over the edge towards the outside, and just rotate it. And they pop them right off, and you put them on the same way. You slide the gas ring on the back. You clip one edge on the inside where the ring goes on. You rotate it around, and they pop right in. No, there's no problem at all. They're very easy.
Going dark. We were already having many conversations about the smoke detectors. We've replaced the batteries. They're still going off. So apparently we've just found out tonight we need to replace the entire unit. Trust me, we will get that done. I'm seeing trends lately with companies using barrels with shorter dwell times, like the mid-length 13.7, mid-length 12.5, etc. What is your opinion on this trend? Ironed out the kinks or still problematic?
I think they're still problematic. It's as I've told you in the past, I would never go below a 10.5-inch barrel on any kind of AR-15 type rifle. Giving it more dwell time is important. I'm sorry, giving it less dwell time is important. You have to really open up those gas ports to allow more gas in. You're going to have a higher cyclic rate. For range toys, I guess they're fine, but I wouldn't want them for real world.
I want to build a 300 blackout. Any problem mixing a pistol gas system with a carbine buffer? If not, what do I need to look out for?
No, you'd use a pistol. You'd use a pistol. Well, let me say this: if you're going to be using supersonic, if you're using supersonic ammunition, go with a carbine length gas system. If you're going to be going with subsonic and subsonic ammunition, then go with a pistol. I don't know where you live, but if you're not using a suppressor and you're using supersonic ammunition, go with the carbine length and the standard carbine buffer. If you're going to be using subsonic, go with the pistol length gas system and a standard weight buffer. Those all you need to watch out for. Myself, I go with pistol length because I pretty much always were using subsonic and using a suppressor. But if I had a rifle that was not using the can on it, it'd be a carbine length gas system. It's hard to understand, but you have to have the pistol length to work properly with 220 subsonics to make them cycle. Where with the carbine or with the supersonic, carbine is far more optimal, but the pistol length is the compromise to try to get one that works at both. It doesn't always work.
I'm looking to purchase a Centurion Arms barrel, but I'm not sure whether to get their midweight or lightweight profile barrel. But I wanted to see what your thoughts are.
I go with the midweight all the time because I'm a firm believer in any gun that I build like that is to be a combat gun, is to be that's the reliability that I want out of it, and the midweight barrel is far better for any kind of sustained fire heating up. That's just my personal preference. The lightweight's certainly fine. If you're building a rifle that's you don't plan on it seeing heavy use or high firing schedules or whatever, you can go with the lightweight. Just for me, when I build these guns, I always take in mind ambient temperatures in Texas and being outside, all that kind of stuff, and what's going to be the best overall to make this gun battle proof. So I generally go with the heavier barrel.
And I'm going to plop the Centurion codes down here just to remind you guys if they are still active. It's 3% off for complete rifles, which I know that's, if you can find a complete rifle, it's maybe quite a find, but uppers and lowers are 5% off, and everything else is 10% off.
And Monty's still plugging away as fast as he can. Again, he can only go as much as his suppliers can provide him parts. So, as I said, he is swamped, doing his best right now. Hopefully, things are going to be starting to get better soon for as far as supply. So there's more available.
Regarding JFK, did Oswald pull off a high-level shot, or could any avid bloke make that shot?
Any average person, any
He
average
does
deer
talk
hunter.
about that too
Yeah.
in there.
This is 88 yards with a 4-power scope. Think about that. I was test firing on Monday a wind and weaponry M16A4 with iron sights at 100 yards. I was hitting center of that target at 100 yards with iron sights. So you're looking at 20 yards less with a 4-power scope. Think about that. At 11 miles an hour, you don't even have to lead when you're behind the target. This was not a difficult shot by no means, and he was by no means a sniper. Any of you deer hunters out there, that you would love that. That'd be an ideal shot for you to get a deer at that distance with a shotgun.
Yeah, like he does talk about that. I mean, because I wondered too, like it seemed like it was much farther away than it actually was. And then also, I thought it was interesting the fact that this limo, they were sitting higher up in the back seat, which I didn't know that
Yeah.
either. So that's interesting as far as like bullet trajectory and stuff. Are true dissipators relevant today?
They never were back then. The only time dissipators were useful was when you have iron sights. What a dissipator does is it gives you a longer sight radius. So longer sight radius is more accurate. With today, it has absolutely no bearing because you're using optics. So it's a complete waste. It doesn't make any sense. But that's just my thought.
POF revolution, DI, or gas piston?
Well, that's an interesting one. Um, I have used both. Uh, both of them performed about the same. I will say I had more reliability issues with the external piston. If you go back to the videos, you'll see I have both, and you can see my thoughts on both. If I was to buy one, I probably would go with the internal piston. It just seemed to work better.
Thoughts on the PTR 32P?
Quite nice. Everything those guys make are nice. Quality's great. I wonder if I have. I think I might even have a video on that one out there. I might.
PTR? I think so.
Yeah, I might even have a video on that one out there.
Yeah, if you go like look and it says like there's a different search bar. There's the main one for YouTube at the top, but if you go to a specific channel and say view channel, then another little search bar will appear where you can search within that channel. And I'm pretty sure that we do.
Yeah, I think I do.
What would be your top 5 AR-15 high-end brands?
Well, LMT. I would definitely put Centurion and Knights in that. Probably primary weapon systems I'd be putting in there too.
That the maker of that smoke alarm because
I
he doesn't
would
want to give
say
up.
I would say Colt as well.
Colt today or old Colt? I think that's
Colt,
two different.
Colt today still work. They're just not made in house.
Yeah, I
Um,
wouldn't want something that's not made there though.
I have yet to ever see, even with new Colts, I have yet to see anybody complain about them not working. In fact, I've never heard anybody complain about them not working. Just the difference is the ones now aren't made in house.
Do low profile gas blocks have any tendency to rust weld in place, thereby negating the need to dimple the barrel or pin the block?
No, the only thing that happens with gas blocks is you get carbon seals on them. The only way they're going to rust is if you have moisture that's in there. Um, that's the same with any gas block. It doesn't make a difference. If you're for a real world gun, you want a dimple because you want to make sure it's not going to move forward. I've had too many of them. You guys know that I'm a Nazi when it comes to wanting gas blocks drilled and pinned.
God, I even know that.
Yeah, because that is a major reliability standard, and that's going to make sure that no matter how hard that gun's run, that's not going to move. But I definitely would dimple that and get that in there with some really good Loctite.
Since Bushmaster doesn't chrome line their barrels anymore, who would you say is the cheapest option for a pre-built AR with a chrome barrel?
I didn't know Bushmaster wasn't chroming them anymore. I'm waiting to get my hands on one of the new ones. I thought that they were. Um, it's quite hard these days to find barrels that are chrome plated. Everybody wants to go with this cheap nitride. Um, LMT, you're probably not going to find them cheap. LMT still does them. Colt still does them. FN still does them. Um, I believe, was it Diamondback? I think Diamondback still did them. Yes, unfortunately, they're more than not are doing the nitride. Um, again, for my go-to rifles, every single one of my rifles that I would consider my go-to rifle has a chrome-plated barrel.
Your thoughts on the IWI Tavor X95?
I did a video. I had both of them. I did a video on each. Both of them are great guns. I kept the standard Tavor just because it was the one the IDF carried, initially. For as far as bullpups are concerned, I'm not a fan. However, that is my favorite of any bullpup I've ever shot. It is accurate. It is reliable. It's convenient. Uh, it's again. I think it's the best bullpup that's out there. A good chrome lined hammer forged barrel, and it's got combat experience. Um, I I definitely would recommend it to you if you want to get a nice bullpup. I think it feels better than any of the other ones that are out there. And I think it definitely feels better than the Steyr, than the AUG. Um, I haven't really messed around with some of these other commercial type ones, only really the military ones. Um, but I'd absolutely recommend that one to you.
Stephen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Carrie, what vintage am I drinking tonight? I actually am having wine tonight. Haven't been having wine during Q&A so much. I've really cut back my wine drinking.
Carrie, Amo, I was just talking to
But tonight I am having wine, and I'm sorry to say it's something random I picked up from Walmart. It's
just
really
talking
sad.
to Alex
It's really,
Robinson.
I'm
Sorry.
still trying to answer my wine question.
Okay.
People want to know what I'm drinking.
Absolutely.
It's some random crap I picked up from Walmart, which is sad. Now go ahead.
Carrie, just talking to Alex Robinson yesterday. When I get my new upper receiver back from him, I'm going to be doing a video comparing the Robinson XCRL to the Scar Heavy. Thought you might get a kick out of that.
Thoughts on echo triggers versus forced reset, or are they just gimmicky middle fingers to the ATF?
I think they're gimmicky middle fingers to the ATF. I don't care for them. However, if you enjoy them, that's great. But for me, I don't like anything that fires on release, to say the least. Um, they're just another option out there for somebody who likes it. Me, I don't care for it, but other people they enjoy them. There's a lot of really good videos of guys who've done tests on those. It's just not really anything that ever interested me because it's not really what you'd call a combat or a real world type tool.
Thank you, Luke. He says he's drinking some random Walmart wine right now too. That's funny. Chris has some beer. Do you have
Saigon,
Saigon
Vietnamese beer.
Yeah. It's not box wine. Thankfully, it's not. I can't drink
She would
box
not allow
wine.
box wine in this house.
The sulfates are just way too high. They give me a splitting headache. But I actually did have some pretty good wines for Thanksgiving. But my brother was here with his now fiance. She actually proposed at, or he proposed at our house, which was really special and nice. And that girl can probably drink me under the table. So, and then my brother loves wine too. So, we killed a wine rack
And
for
me,
Thanksgiving.
I drank beer.
He drank beer. And then my our oldest daughter, who's you know, closing in on 19, she has some wine with us too. You know, it's the Italian way.
Well, Carrie, I knew you'd find that interesting. Aim low. I just saw a meme, Carrie. I was thinking about you. Had a picture of you, the girl who's pointing your finger and screaming, and they had Air Force hats on, and it said, and she said, "We were in combat duty. We served in Qatar." And a picture of like the cat with his army hat on, and saying, "We go to Qatar for R&R." So I was thinking of you.
Oh my God. Any thoughts on Black Rain Ordinance rifles?
You know, I did a an article on them for Small Arms Review many years ago. They were excellent rifles. I did try maybe a year or so ago to get a hold of somebody there to get some of their newer stuff, and it really wasn't successful. That is something I do want to do some reviews on if I can get a hold of somebody over there. But I will tell you, back in those days, if you go on to a Small Arms Review and then you type in Bartacci in the search engine, all the articles will come up, and you'll see the article I did on Black Rain Ordnance. It's in there, and you'll be able to read it.
That's also a Black Rifle Gun, right?
Yes.
That's also all of his articles on Black Rifle are actually in our 2-volume works, collection of writings 1 and collection of writings volume 2. They're so massive, I had to split them into 2 because cost to print them, especially in color like he wants. Yeah, those are on Amazon, and that I know that I remember that article.
Yeah.
That's in there.
Wind and Weaponry, you're right. That's another one of them that I would recommend highly. In fact, I got one sitting over there. I'm doing a review on their M16A4.
Does anyone make an aluminum buttstock for an AR carbine like the original SP1 carbine, or would you have to hunt down an original Colt?
There was a company who did reproductions for the repro rifles that were done by Troy. I'm not sure exactly who it was. I have a couple of them. Um, I don't know who the source was. I got them from Troy back when he was making those. My guess is now, unfortunately, you probably would have to try to find an original. Um, but I don't know anybody who's making them now. It was just really specifically for Troy when he did his retro rifles. That's the only one that I ever saw. And they were nice. You'll be very hard pressed to tell the difference between a Colt and those.
What is the best AR-15 you can buy off the shelf with the most upgraded parts, upgrades that matter the most?
LMT, their MRP, MLS. It's got the Mars lower, fully Ambi. It's got the M-lock. It's got the removable barrels. It's got everything you could possibly want, and you can turn it into anything you possibly could want.
Robinson Arms versus DSA. Which 308 do you recommend for SHTF?
Well, DSA, you're looking at a FAL versus you say. What was it? What was the rifle again? It was a DSA versus what?
Sorry, I had already
Oh,
moved
sorry.
on to like the next question because I was.
Yeah, the DSA is a FAL.
Okay, I'll have to come back to it because I've lost
Okay,
it.
sorry about that. My brain sometimes doesn't.
I'll pull it again. As soon as I read it, I go and dig for another one.
I get those senior moments every once and again.
The dog scratching my leg also doesn't help either. You're not a true Italian family without everyone at all ages drinking wine during the holidays. Yeah, my father-in-law used to always, with my nieces, they would be at the table at 14 with a glass of wine. It's very Italian. Is there a benefit to an A5 buffer system versus a carbine system?
Only on a 20-inch barrel. That's what it was designed for. I mean, you can get some benefits, but I don't think the cost justifies what little benefit you're going to get. But definitely, if you want to go with a 20-inch barrel, what it was designed for.
Who is making an A2 upper? I haven't seen one.
That's interesting question. I was just talking to another company I consult with who wants to bring back the A2s. Finding the A2 forgings right now are nearly impossible. It's just like the retro rifles. Everybody's doing standard M4 uppers right now, so they're literally impossible to find at this time. If you hold tight until things sort of catch up, you'll start to see them again. But right now, you're not going to see them. Just like the retro stuff, everybody's just doing flat top M4s right now.
We realize the smoke alarm is chirping. It doesn't help when you put it into the chat line. It's annoying. Given the current cost, is the SR-15 still worth the money versus Daniel Defense, BCM, SOLGW, Treyarch Systems, etc.?
The thing about Knights is they make an absolute excellent rifle. You're paying a lot name for the name. You're paying a shitload more for the name, and the enhancements that he has on there make that gun completely proprietary. Which means if something goes wrong with it and they're not there anymore or they don't support it, uh, you're stuck. And the other thing about Knights is too is if you can get the spare parts, you're going to be giving up your firstborn and cost for a new bolt or a new extractor if they have those parts in. That's really what hurts that rifle. Now, if you want to compare that to something, you're probably looking at more like like the LMT, who has a lot of those enhanced features. Uh, because really, what makes Knights stand out, it would be their locking, their bolt, their new carrier. Quite frankly, you can get other parts of make your standard AR-15 just as reliable. That's the biggest issue I think right now is that you're paying a lot for the name and the proprietary. In the end, if something happens to Knights or they decide to close up doors because they don't get enough military contracts, you're not going to have the parts to replace it.
Any update on the AK gas block from the Ukraine?
Unfortunately, no. I had worked with several companies here trying to get somebody to buy it here, and the reality is it works best for a suppressed AK. And most AKs you can't drop it on because if you do, barrels aren't concentric and they can't be suppressed. You literally have to have a company who makes barrels with makes AKs with U.S. barrels, and then they use them. The main benefit of that is for suppressed use, and the AK was never designed to be a suppressed gun, which you can tell by the fact that the barrels and threads are concentric. Um, I think for the overall number of guns out there that are suppressed, most of these companies can't justify adding a system like that. I've got right now the system that comes from Zastava USA on their 5.56 that has a three-position gas valve. This Ukrainian one beats the shit out of that. However, this barrel is American made. It's concentric, and you can put a suppressor on it. You don't have to get like a dead air. You can put a regular suppressor on it. This would be a much better system than that. There's a lot of unfortunate good ideas out there that's just very difficult to sell, and this is one of them.
CHF CL bar FN spikes tactical accuracy expectations, and is it worth the extra weight?
Yes. Spikes uses FN cold hammer forged barrels usually that are sourced to them. They have the ST Spikes tactical name on them. Cold hammer forged chrome line. You got everything that you would want. Those are probably some of the best barrels you can get. So yeah, it is worth it.
You're a warrior, Stella. Our little one is telling us that she just slayed a spider in the kitchen. The little badass that she is. I would have ran and screamed, but the 10-year-old is like, I'll kill it. Not a peep. She just took it out. What do you think about 12.5 versus 14.5?
The longer is always the better. You're going to have more dwell time. You're going to get more velocity out of the 14.5. So if whatever your situation is allows you to have the longer barrel, always go for the longer barrel. That's what I would say to that. If I'm not going to be totally in a close quarter battle situation, if I'm going to be outside, I'm going to have longer range shots. I would definitely take the 14.5 over the 12.5.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am going to go murder the smoke alarm and figure out what the hell's going on with it. So if anybody would like to email me any suggestions other than putting a bullet into it, you can send those to hpertachi@smallarmsolutions.com so that we don't have this next week, because frankly, my anxiety can't take it. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you guys very much. You guys
have a good weekend.
It's the one that's plugged in.